The elements that I wanted to bring for the first game, definitely the theme. I wanted to keep consistency. I thought that was important, especially initially. I know it says you can see the Arkham sign, but it's not absolutely blatant for a reasonable amount of time that it's a Batman trailer. Yeah. So I was certainly wanting to keep the theme from the first game. I definitely wanted to emphasise the kind of crazy aspect of Joker. And so I think you heard from before, building up, using that same type of gesture from the first game, the kind of prepared piano stuff, the little kind of chromatic writing. I thought that'd help to keep the consistency from the first game into that trailer, and also end not with, as we did in the first game, not end with a conclusion, but with a kind of question mark. So that's why we end with that big kind of crunchy chord that sort of suggests there's more to come. Yeah, I'm quite keen to kind of combine quite contemporary elements like kind of new synthesizers. I certainly think those sort of pulsing sounds can really help push the score along. The way I think of it, sort of in terms of the mix, is we have that kind of pulsing element forcing Batman along, and then the kind of orchestral stuff kind of sits on top of that and emphasizes, you know, kind of more emotional elements like he's in jeopardy, or someone's distressed, or someone's crazy like Joker. I tend to use the orchestral instruments to do that, whereas the synth stuff is the kind of driving force, kind of like the player's kind of motor pushing them through it. We didn't have an awful, you never really do get much time with these things, but we didn't have an awful lot of time, so I knew that what I wanted to do was make sure that we had the theme from the last game and some other little elements such as the percussion, the string writing, and sort of take them and really emphasise at the beginning this big reveal of the city. So I think probably the best thing is if I play the theme. So originally in Batman Arkham Asylum we had this sort of theme, which was something like that. I mean, we revoiced it differently, so we'd also go, yeah, but it was basically this. And then so I was absolutely sure I needed to get that in quite early on. So the very first thing you hear, I think, in the violins. So you can hear that there with the cellos and violas. So that's the first little bit of melodic stuff we get going. The other stuff I wanted to keep, the synth elements, so we've got this little bass pulse going along there. So I wanted to keep those little synth elements from the last game. Build up a little melody on top of that and really emphasise this point when you get to see the whole city. So that's the thing there. Train goes past. Now this next little bit is another echo from the first game. In the first game, all the Joker theme music had this kind of we call it a prepared piano. I don't know if you heard it there going ba 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 ba, like that sort of sound. And we tend to write this kind of chromatic writing, so it's still actually around there. I think that's a screw. Actually, no, that's a damper across all the keys. And so we use the same theme for Joker, but we tend to keep it more chromatic. That sort of thing. And I wanted to bring that in as we're going through this area and ultimately getting towards Joker. I think it's if you know the music from the first game, I think as soon as you hear it's these two elements. I've doubled it with the music box as well. So this is to say we're getting towards Joker, even before you've seen him, when I guess you know. Oh, and then there's a chord to emphasise his craziness at the end. Oh, some reinforcement of those hi-hats. Pretty quiet in the actual mix. Bit of timp, I think, to double that. Well, then of course we have those kind of Penderecki type, different kind of orchestral playing. There's lots of people playing behind the back of a violin bridge.